Every time I tried to start a new hobby, my mother-in-law would show up with better ideas. You should focus on more productive things, she'd insist. When I finally showed her my finished project, her reaction left everyone speechless. I never thought that picking up a hobby would lead to such a roller coaster with my mother-in-law, Margaret. But here I am, sharing this story, hoping someone out there can relate. After marrying Jake, I knew Margaret had strong opinions. She had a way of inserting herself into situations, always believing she knew best. But I never expected her to meddle so much in my personal interests. A few years back, I decided to try painting. I'd always been drawn to the idea of expressing myself on canvas. So, I bought some supplies, set up a little corner in our living room, and started dabbling. One afternoon, Margaret dropped by unannounced. She walked into the living room and spotted my easel. "Oh, you're painting?" she remarked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes," I replied, trying to sound cheerful. "I've always wanted to give it a shot." She pursed her lips. "Painting is nice, but don't you think your time would be better spent on something more practical, like cooking? Jake does love a good meal." I felt a pang of irritation, but forced a smile. "I enjoy cooking, but painting is something I've wanted to explore." She nodded slowly. "Well, as long as it doesn't take time away from more important duties." The following week, Margaret showed up with a brochure for a local culinary class. "I enrolled you in a weekend cooking course," she announced. I was taken aback. "Margaret, I didn't ask for this." "Nonsense," she waved off my protest. "It's already paid for. You wouldn't want to waste the money." Feeling cornered, I attended the classes. They were informative, but my heart wasn't in it. My painting supplies gathered dust. Months later, the urge to pursue a hobby returned. This time, I chose the guitar. Music had always been a passion, and I envisioned myself playing favorite songs by the fireplace. I bought a second-hand guitar and started practicing. It felt liberating. Then, Margaret visited. She noticed the guitar immediately. "Oh, learning the guitar now?" "Yes," I said, bracing myself. "Well," she began, "wouldn't the piano be more refined? We have that old upright in the basement. It would be lovely to hear it played." I sighed. "I prefer the guitar's sound and portability." She gave a tight smile. "Just a suggestion." Despite her disapproval, I continued. But every time I played, I felt her judgment looming. My enthusiasm waned. Determined, I took up knitting. I imagined creating scarves and blankets for loved ones. Margaret's reaction was predictable. "Knitting? Why not sewing? You could mend clothes, which is more practical." I explained, "Knitting relaxes me. It's not about practicality." She huffed. "Seems like a waste when sewing offers more utility." Next was gardening. I dreamed of growing vegetables and flowers, creating a serene backyard oasis. Margaret's take? Landscaping courses would be more beneficial. Understanding the bigger picture is crucial. She even enrolled me in a class without asking. Jake noticed my frustration. One evening, he said, "You don't have to listen to Mom. It's your life." I sighed. "She makes me feel like my choices are frivolous." He hugged me. "Do what makes you happy." With Jake's support, I returned to painting. I joined a local art class and transformed a room into my studio. Margaret, of course, had comments. "Still on that painting kick? I thought you'd moved past that phase." "It's not a phase," I replied firmly. "It's something I love." She raised an eyebrow but said no more. Months passed. I poured my soul into my art, culminating in a large family portrait capturing a candid moment of laughter and unity. We hosted a family gathering to unveil it. As everyone gathered, I pulled down the cloth covering the canvas. There was a collective gasp. The painting showcased Jake, Margaret, and me in a warm embrace, laughter evident in our eyes. Margaret stood frozen, staring at the painting. Tears welled up. "You painted this?" she whispered. "Yes," I replied. She approached the painting, fingers lightly touching the canvas. "It's beautiful," she admitted. Turning to me, she continued, "I didn't realize you had such talent." "I've been so blind." The room was silent. Margaret took a deep breath. I've been pushing you towards things I deemed appropriate without considering your feelings. I'm sorry. Jake stepped forward, placing a hand on his mother's shoulder. Mom, we all have our passions. It's important to support each other's choices. She nodded. You're right. I've been overbearing. Facing me, she added, from now on, I'll respect your pursuits. You've shown me the beauty of following one's passion. Tears threatened to spill from my eyes. Thank you, Margaret. That evening marked a turning point. Margaret became my biggest supporter, attending my exhibitions and even trying her hand at painting. Our bond deepened, built on mutual respect and understanding. After that emotional family gathering where Margaret seemed to finally understand and appreciate my painting, I thought things had turned a corner. But I was wrong. At first, everything did seem better. Margaret started asking me questions about my artwork. She even complimented a couple of my pieces without any backhanded remarks. It felt nice. It felt like maybe, just maybe, we were building something new between us. Then the invitations started. Margaret began dragging me to her friends' art circles. These weren't casual meetups. These were competitive, snobby, wine and cheese afternoons full of retired ladies with money to burn and opinions sharper than their manicure tips. I didn't belong. One of them, a woman named Diane, glanced at one of my small floral canvases and said, "How sweet." Very hobby-like. Margaret just laughed along. She's still learning. I told her she needs to broaden her style. She has potential, though. It hit me like a punch to the gut. That whole support thing? It was just another form of control. She wasn't respecting my hobby. She was trying to reshape it into something she could brag about. Something that made her look good in her social circle. I tried to pull back, told her I wasn't comfortable with all the events, that I needed to work on my own pieces. She frowned. But they're expecting you. You don't want to seem ungrateful, do you? Ungrateful. That word again. It always popped up when she was about to guilt-trip me into doing something. Jake noticed I was stressed again. You're slipping back, he said one night as we sat in bed. She's getting under your skin. She's turning my art into a parade float, I snapped. Something to show off. Not because she believes in me, but because it benefits her. He nodded slowly. Then stop going. Cut her off from this part of your life if she can't respect it. I wish it were that easy. One afternoon, Margaret showed up with a framed photo of a golden retriever. My friend Brenda lost her dog last month. She wants a portrait. I told her you'd do it. She said it so casually, like she was asking me to pick up groceries. Wait, you already told her I'd do it? I asked. Well, yes, she said, like it was no big deal. She's paying $150. I stared at her. Margaret, I don't take commissions. This one's easy. It's just a dog. You've painted harder things. I felt heat rise in my chest. You had no right. Her eyes narrowed. You should be thankful people are noticing your work. There it was. That twist of the knife, dressed as support. Jake intervened later, told her she was out of line. Margaret gave him the cold shoulder for a week. Then she came back with cookies and an apology that sounded more like a complaint. I'm sorry if I tried to help too much, she said, handing me a Tupperware container like it made everything okay. But the damage was done. I started offering small workshops from home. Just a few neighbors, casual painting nights. Nothing fancy. Margaret showed up halfway through one session, holding a tray of hors d'oeuvres. I thought your little event could use some class, she said loudly, walking in like she owned the place. Everyone went quiet. I smiled tightly. Margaret, this is a relaxed group. Snacks were already taken care of. Oh, nonsense, she said, arranging her tray. I also brought some of your pieces to show them. They need to see what you can really do. She opened a bag and started pulling out 3 of my unfinished paintings. My stomach dropped. They're not ready, I tried to say. But it was too late. She had them propped up on the windowsill, showing everyone. I felt exposed. Violated. After that night, I shut down the workshops. I told Jake I was done. I needed space. Margaret had crossed too many lines. But the next week, she showed up again, this time with her own canvas. "I've decided to take up painting," she said brightly. "It'll be our thing." That's when I realized she hadn't changed. She didn't want to support me. She wanted to be me. And I had no idea what to do next. The whole painting together idea turned into a disaster faster than I could have predicted. At first, I tried to be polite. I gave Margaret a few pointers, showed her how to mix colors and clean brushes. She acted sweet about it, all wide eyes and, "Oh, you're such a good teacher" vibes. But within a week, it was obvious she wasn't here to learn. She was here to compete. She started copying my work, same colors, same floral patterns, even down to the positioning of the vase or the slant of a shadow. Once, she literally painted a replica of something I had just finished the day before. When I brought it up, she waved it off. "Oh, it's just inspiration. You should be flattered." Flattered. Right. Jake told me to ignore it. Let her play around. "She's not doing it on purpose," he said. But I could feel something was off. There's a small art fair every summer in our town, Marion, Ohio. It's nothing huge, just a bunch of local artists setting up booths around the town square. It's one of my favorite events of the year, and I had signed up months ago. The week before the fair, Margaret came over and casually mentioned she got a booth too. "I hope you don't mind," she said. "I thought it would be fun if we were side by side." Fun? She showed me a few of her new paintings. I kid you not, 3 of them looked exactly like mine. She even named one Spring Whisper, which was dangerously close to my piece called Spring Whispers. I couldn't say anything without sounding petty. Jake said maybe I was reading too much into it. I wasn't. It was hot and humid. I set up my booth, trying to focus on greeting people and enjoying the crowd. I didn't even go look at Margaret's until later. When I finally did, my stomach dropped. Her booth had a giant banner that read, "Margaret and Company, local art by a lifelong creative." Underneath, she had my art, my actual art. 2 of the pieces were the ones she had taken from my studio, just to look at. "Margaret," I snapped, dragging her aside. "You stole my work." She looked me dead in the eye and said, "Don't be dramatic. You weren't using them." I was. They were mine. Signed. You don't get to put them under your name. They're under my booth. Not my name. Besides, no one asked. If they sell, I'll give you a cut. A cut? A cut? I lost it. I told the event organizer, a sweet older woman named Patty, who immediately got involved. Margaret tried to argue, saying it was a misunderstanding, but I had photos on my phone, time-stamped, showing me working on those pieces weeks ago. Patty forced her to remove them. Margaret's booth suddenly looked a lot more empty. But it didn't stop there. A few days later, my neighbor forwarded me a Facebook post. Margaret had created a new art page, Margaret's Inspirations, and she wrote this long, fake story about how she had encouraged a struggling artist to find her voice, only for that person to turn bitter and controlling once success came knocking. People assumed it was me. The comments were full of sympathy for her and passive digs at whoever betrayed her. I was furious. I called her, demanded she take it down. She refused. Jake got involved. He told her she was going too far. That same night, Margaret called crying, saying she felt abandoned by her only child and that I had turned Jake against her. Jake stood firm. "You're twisting everything. You've pushed her too far." She didn't speak to either of us for weeks. This part? I still can't believe it. Margaret registered herself as a business owner for Margaret's Inspirations Art Studio. She rented a space in the next town over, painted it soft lavender, and started offering painting lessons. Lessons. And guess what? She used my flyers, the ones I had made for my private workshops months ago. Same format, similar wording, same pricing structure. I even recognized the font. This woman wasn't trying to support me. She was trying to become me. Jake said, "She's spiraling. She's trying to fill a void by controlling something she thinks she understands." I wasn't buying it anymore. This wasn't insecurity. This was obsession. And it wasn't going away. After the business launch, I started getting messages from people in the art community. Some were confused, asking if I was working with Margaret. Others warned me she was using my name in conversations, claiming I had trained her. One person even said she was telling people she taught me to paint. I lost sleep. My chest was always tight. I started second-guessing every brushstroke, every social post, every public appearance. I even stopped painting for 2 weeks. Just stared at the blank canvases and wondered if I had completely lost control of my own identity. That's when Jake stepped in. He quietly started gathering proof. Screenshots, messages, posts, even photos from her studio with my work pinned to the walls. Some pieces I never even noticed were gone. He pulled our old security cam footage from the hallway and, sure enough, there she was, one afternoon when we were at the grocery store. Key under the mat. In and out in under 15 minutes with a painting in her tote bag. When Jake confronted her with everything, she denied it all. "You're going to believe her over your own mother," she shouted. "She turned you into someone else." He said calmly, "No, you did. And you don't get to keep stealing her life." I could have left it there, blocked her, moved on. But then I found out she had entered a regional art competition under my name. She signed the application for me, submitted my work, and sent me an email after the fact saying she was surprising me. When I called the competition committee, they said the entries were already posted online. I checked the website. There it was, my painting, my name, but underneath it listed Margaret's phone number and her studio as the contact info. That was it. I snapped. I called a lawyer friend who helped me send a cease and desist letter, but I knew that wouldn't be enough. So I did something drastic. I sent a full story to every local news station, art group, and committee Margaret had tried to impress. I kept it factual. Screenshots, time-stamped pictures, side-by-side comparisons, security footage, emails. I laid it all out like a criminal case. The story exploded online. At first, Margaret tried to fight back. She posted long rants on her page about how I was jealous of her late-in-life artistic success. But the evidence was too strong. People who had taken her classes started speaking up, saying she often bragged about her daughter-in-law's ideas being hers now. Her followers disappeared. The studio emptied out. One of the vendors she worked with posted a public apology for ever being associated with her. "Remember those stolen paintings?" I reported them. Pressed charges. She was forced to pay restitution and return everything she still had. Her studio lease wasn't renewed. Jake and I changed the locks, blocked her everywhere, and stopped all communication. No holiday invites. No check-ins. No more second chances. Jake struggled. That was his mom. But even he said, "You gave her every out." She just kept digging. I wasn't blameless either. I let her get too close. I ignored red flags. I gave her too much space in my life, even when my gut told me to shut the door. That part's on me. I wanted to believe she'd change because I needed peace more than I needed truth. But the truth won in the end. It's been a year. I'm back to painting, really painting. I opened my own studio downtown. Small, but it's mine. People come to learn, not to copy. And I keep a framed print of one of my earliest pieces on the wall, the one she once called quaint. Underneath it, I added a little plaque, productive enough for me. And it is. Let them underestimate you. Let them take credit. But make sure the day comes when they can no longer fake what you were born to do.